Chris, what better way to celebrate Raw? It's 25th anniversary.
Tom, 25th anniversary of Raw, back with you. And Mike is here. And Mike and Tom. See, I know what's going to happen, okay? I know what you guys are thinking because you've done this to me before. You come, you show up on the right, and you're Mike Tom. You show up on the left, and you're Tom Mike. You're trying to make me crazy, right? Well, what if I had something up my sleeve, okay? What if I bring in hippie Mike Tom? Look at this. Oh, it's hippie Mike Tom. Oh, are you crazy? Are you crazy? Oh, are you guys freaked out? What about this? What if I brought in a sister Mike Tom? Look at this. Oh, she looks just like you. If she had a beard, and if she was a guy, she would look a lot like you guys. So see, you're not the only ones around here who can fool Chris Jericho. Because you know what happens, Tom Mike? When you try and fool Chris Jericho, huh? You know what happens, Mike Tom? When you try and fool Chris Jericho, for the first time ever, 2 for 1. You both just made the list. You know what else? Hippie Tom Mike, you just made the list. That's fine. Sister Mike Tom, you just made the list. Cameraman, you just made the list. Dumb Dustin, you just made the list. And you just made the list, and you just made the list, and you just made the list, and you make that now.
One of the highest. Copy.
You know what I'm gonna do about it? You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna tweet my displeasure. That's right. I'm gonna jump on social media and I'm gonna tweet about it until my fingers bleed. I might even send an Instagram or a Vine. That's right. And on that tweet, in that tweet, and however many characters I get, I am going to threaten. That's right. If I don't get what I want, I'm going to riot. And if that doesn't work, then by God, me and my friend Mark, we're going to stop watching. That's right.
A lot of our guys, unfortunately, listen to the people on the internet who, the so-called, the so-called experts who've never laced up a pair of boots.
Good or bad, the internet?
The ones that call themselves experts and, and have all these, the cures for the ailments of our business. You know what? I think they're a big joke. And the people that buy into this, they're only smart because of what we let them be smart too. But you listen to them, and they've got all the answers, and this guy needs to be put.
Good. Where's the smart marks at?
They're talk to him.
Good. Can I?
Yeah, I would love you to.
Can I really?
You know how I feel.
Can I swear?
Absolutely. Ask your friends over here.
All right, fuck you. And this is my biggest problem with the so-called fans and stuff like that. Like they have these words in their lexicon that they read on the internet from
someone else,
like Meltzer or something like that, and they use them out of context. They have no idea what it means. You know what I mean? And I actually I said this to one of the writers one time. They said something like, "Oh, and then you're going to do this, and then you're going to get heat." And I said, "Stop, no,
that's not how it is."
I said, "You don't even know what that word means. You have no idea what that word means." And these people run around and you're like, "Oh, you guys need to do this," and Paul Bear, disrespectful, and it's just cheap heat, and it's not. You don't know what heat is. You don't know what cheap heat is. Shut the fuck up and watch the show. Well said. Thank you. You could take any one of those people and you can give them the position of Booker, and they would lose their mind. Everyone loves being negative. Everyone loves, they shouldn't have done that. Punk came back too soon. They did it, and it's just like, shut up and enjoy it. You know, like, and I know sometimes it gets really, really bad. And then you can be vocal about that, but it's just like nobody lets anything play out. They forget. It's like they almost forget that there's going to be a Raw next week.
All that fun stuff too. Why the hate from the Young Bucks?
You know, a lot of that is on me. But I'll also tell you, too, the Young Bucks have my respect, and I'll tell you why. I felt, this isn't a fact, this was my opinion. First of all, here's what people don't understand. Let me tell you, number one. Bob Ryder brought the Young Bucks into TNA for a tryout.
The Young what?
The Young Bucks.
Buck. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Bob Ryder brought in the Young Bucks.
For a tryout.
Okay.
Vince, you got to watch these guys. Okay? I watched the Young Bucks. As soon as the match was over, I went to Bob Ryder and I said, sign these guys up. Immediately after the match. Okay, so I was fans of theirs. I liked them. They had a style that was different. Mm-hmm. Once they came, and they weren't the only two. There was a whole wave of these younger guys coming in. Bro, there was a X division long before there was 205. Okay, that's when the movement started. I felt that when I would try to have the conversation with Young Bucks about character, same thing I said here, guys, prolong the career.
Right.
Don't freaking kill yourself. I felt it would go in one ear and out the other. Okay. I felt they made me feel like they knew more than Vince Russo would ever know. That's how they made me feel, okay? I said that in an interview. And I said exactly what I just said to you, I said on an interview. And here's the difference, bro. One of them called me out on it. And I don't remember which one. I got an email from one of them. Vince, we read that you said this, blah, 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 blah. We really don't appreciate that you said that. And you know what? I wrote it back. I said, you know what? You're right, bro. You're right. I shouldn't have said that. I apologize for saying that. That's the way I felt. I was wrong about saying that. But I tell you what, they earned all the respect in the world by calling me out.
Right.
That's why, again, getting back to the dirt sheet writers, that's why I have no respect for any of these guys, because all they do is talk trash about me, and I say to them, come on my show, bro, or I'll go on your show. It's not about ratings and numbers.
Have you contacted Meltzer and said, let's...
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I know people were reached out to for You Shoot Live with Vince Russo, and I think Pro Wrestling Illustrated
Can I tell you something? Listen to this.
Yeah.
Podcast One. I was on Podcast One. I get a call from Podcast One. And it was from the PR woman that had no idea. Vince, Wade Keller is starting a show on Podcast One. Would you come on his show, kind of help promote it, this and that thing? I said, I have no problem whatsoever going on Wade's show. I will be a gentleman. I will be respectful. And I promise you at the end of the day, I will get Wade Keller and his show over. I said, but you got to understand, these guys don't like me. But business is business, and I will be more than happy to go on Wade's show. And I will, He didn't have me on the show. Why wouldn't he have? Tell me. I'm asking you. Why would he not have me on the show? What is everybody so afraid of?
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 90 of the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast right here on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Stitcher, wherever the hell you get your podcasts from these days, in entertainment platforms. Here recording this bad boy on a Thursday. It's January 25th, 2018. And per ritual, maybe it's just the fact that I did a lot of these podcasts on a Wednesday and Thursday, and this news breaks out in the wrestling world and sports world at the same time. But today there's an announcement that the XFL is coming back. Mahal is having a press conference of sorts for Alpha Entertainment later on today, so you guys can go check that out. But you're not here for that. You're here to talk some professional wrestling, but we're also here to talk about life. I've talked about this a lot on the podcast before. This is not only a wrestling podcast, but this is also a life podcast as well. I mix in other stuff. I talk about music. I talk about struggles. I talk about perseverance and fun stories I had from playing music back in the day. I talk about that a lot here. And we also have a lot of our audio content, which you hear. We're not doing it a lot this week because we have a special guest, but we'll be back to our regular routine next week. And I hope you guys enjoyed that Jericho clip. And I did want to use the Yacht Club since we're celebrating our 90th episode. So you got a little dose of Vince Russo giving his thoughts on the Young Bucks. So there goes that. A couple business things to get out of the way. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Notorious Joshi. Notorious is in dedication to Notorious B.I.G., who's one of my big celebrity idols. So shout out to B.I.G. And I'm going to give a couple shout outs to other people. Shout out to Nick at Twitter at Nick_BD for always being a big supporter of my podcast and my guests today. And we've been talking about this for a while, actually. We've been having a falling out a little bit over a year ago, but during the summer, I think a little late of fall of last year as well, we started to chat with each other again and address the elephant in the room. There's no more issues. I think one of the unfortunate things that comes with wrestling media and this media in general, especially for those who actually work in the media business as opposed to people who have networks and consider themselves media, because you run a wrestling media network doesn't mean you're part of the media. That the stress that comes with that career gets the best of you sometimes, and I've opened up to that mistake. You guys heard it already a bunch of times on this show, so this is the perfect time to have him on. I'm glad to have him on. This is a little funny story. We actually recorded a show earlier today, actually, on YouTube that was supposed to drop and shock y'all this afternoon. But hey, guess what? I deleted the YouTube video, so you guys don't even know he's actually on the podcast till right now, actually. So we had a reconciliation over these past couple months, but we're going to stress this point today, and we talked about this earlier. Family comes before anything. And this guy is my brother, and he'll always be my brother. I love this guy, and I'm glad to have him back on here where he rightfully deserves. And we started the show together, and we did like almost 50 shows together during that time period before the shit hit the fan. But I'm glad to have Punkster back on. The one and only Adam Daley is back here on the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast. What's going on, my man?
Well. Look what the cat drug in, huh?
Right?
All right, so listen, Josh, thank you for having me on. Listen, I wanted to obviously just knock something out of the room real quick. And cause still, like to this day, you know, whatever was going on, I still haven't listened to any like podcasts or anything like that. I don't really even listen to any podcasts anymore. When I say even, I mean I don't. When Sam and I were doing our show, we weren't even listening to our own show. So, one thing I want to say though, Josh, you and I have covered all this, so this is this isn't anything new to you, but. I guess to any of Josh's listeners or, some other people out there, I want to give a shout out to like Nick, Nick, Pat, the usual suspects that we always normally bullshit with. But, a lot of things were said about me, and it's cool, to be honest, because, listen, let's keep it 100. I was carrying a certain show when I was there. It's only right that they had to use my name to continue, to get ratings after I was gone, and that's fine. But I'd like to just say this. To these group of individuals that like to call me the CM Punk of podcasting, if you're going to give me a moniker, at least get it right. I have no problem with you. Again, use my name as much as you want if you need clicks that bad. I have no problem. But make sure you call it like it is, because with me, it's family first. And, you know, my family got hit with a couple different things last year. I could go into relocation. I had 2 job changes, 2 outpatient surgeries. I had to change my diet. AJ, my daughter, had some things that she came into her own, so to speak. My wife had a surgery done. My father had a surgery. I live in Pittsburgh now. You know, there's a lot of things going on, and it's funny that people would like to, we're kind of looking for an easy scapegoat because everything has to be a conspiracy. You know, people forget there's a thing called Occam's razor, and Occam's razor is, if you're looking for the easiest answer, it's the most simplistic form. You know, I kind of quit podcasting for a while because my family needed me. So if you want to give me the correct moniker, don't call me CM Punk, call me Kevin Owens. Because when my family comes calling, I drop everything. That's how this should be. My time is valuable, and I'm done giving my time, you know, for free to people, especially for that kind of kickback. So, so for the people that kind of like, you know, the people that kind of stuck with me and Sam, you guys know all the stories and stuff like that, and I'm glad you guys stuck with us. Those of you that don't, you know, you can, you can't even go back and check out the stories now because Mind of Carnage is shut down. But that's your fault for just listening to one side of the narrative and being robots and people that just follow, you know, you're a sheep, a pack of sheep. But at the end of the day, here's the deal. You know, my family will always come before podcasting, will always come before anything. And people don't need an excuse other than my family needed me. And if you have a problem with that, there's 2 words for you. And it doesn't start, and it's not sucking. So, but again, you know, we'll let people's narrative be as it is, and they can still use my name, and I'm okay with that. Cause I'm sure I'm sure, you know, it's going to be a fucking onslaught now. Cause I find the irony in it that Josh, you know, what was it that I quit because Donald Trump won the presidency? Then it must really suck then when I cash my paychecks from these individuals that voted for Donald Trump, doing media with individuals that voted for Donald Trump. That sucks when my paycheck clears. You know what else sucks? It sucks that I'm the one that's the mediator with all this. Like, you know, my wife's gonna hate me for this one, but we get into battles because she's very, very liberal, and I'm kind of like a centrist. Where like I just want it all to stop. So to kind of try and look for any other narrative other than you were the only dude that didn't figure out I was already leaving your show. Sorry. I mean, I think that's you're about the only one that was in the dark with that, pal. So, have fun.
Yeah, and now we spark into new eras where, for 2 months, not even 2 months, we have 3 guys documenting women's wrestling and only women wrestling without having a lady, by the way, on that said show. And now they're back to hitting the hits of regular wrestling topics because, you know, the martyrs for women's wrestling, and there's nothing wrong with women's wrestling. I love women's wrestling. Adam loves women's wrestling. We're all pumped for the Women's Royal Rumble this Sunday, right?
Oh my God.
Yeah. But it's just funny how messages get put out on the surface, but there's no follow through after that. Well, and I take partial blame for myself because there was just a bad case of miscommunication, and unfortunately not unfortunately, but ironically, our last show was the day of the election that day. And I think I talked to you for like 2 hours after the fact we recorded that show. And the thing you gotta know about me and Adam, guys, is that we always took a lot of time just to talk about stuff non-wrestling related after we were done recording the show. Like, this is real life. We're brothers. I care for the guy. We talked about deep conversations that we won't share to you guys, but even that day, the election, we're just doing our same regular thing. And obviously for me, it caught me off guard for the reaction you had. But I also knew some stuff that was going on with you beforehand. and we just fell in the bad case of miscommunication. And it happens. We're brothers fight, right?
Well, that's what we always said. Like, listen, family finds a way. Brothers are always going to fight. But here's the thing. See, the irony, and this is why it's such an easy and saccharine excuse for somebody to use, is because there was a tie-in with the election, and it is something very personal. People that have followed me, know. But there was something that happened, right around election time, and it just floored my world. My wife and I realized our daughter was like throwing us hints and about something, personal to her. And here I am, like, my wife and I are, I'm doing like 6 shows a week, and like, missing all these like messages and stuff, and like, it hits you as a father when you realize, because of just the result of a stupid election, it isn't going to really affect anybody. Although it's affected some people. But, just that day, it frightens your daughter enough to, reveal some things about her that maybe she might not have been, maybe she would have been scared about. Like, listen, I'm first in line to say Donald Trump isn't a problem. That's what is laughable to this. I agree with my daughter. Mike Pence is the one we all need to worry about. So I'm the one that's sitting here yelling at liberals going, shut the fuck up. I'm the one that's yelling at conservatives going, shut the fuck up. But let me get this straight. That's the reason why I quit podcasting. The reason why I quit podcasting is because it's one of two things, Josh. And I didn't really necessarily want to go this route, but we're going to go this route. One, it is the fan part of it, because we talked about this earlier. How fans can be so unsatisfied constantly with the product that you need to completely tear it down. And Josh, so after I quit podcasting, this one dude I was working with, we would still always talk wrestling at work and stuff like that. And they had Roadblock in a line in Pittsburgh, and he was talking about how he couldn't believe it because security went up to him and listen, it's a good dude. I'm not trying to knock my boy, but he was complaining because security went up to him and told him, you got to stop chanting, Charlotte's got a dick. And I was like, well, cuz, it's guys like you is the reason why I don't take my daughter to a wrestling event. Well, it's weak. No, it isn't weak. This is a children's show. You know what I mean? So, but that's the exact mentality of a lot of the wrestling base I just got tired of dealing with, because I'm not in my mid-20s or early 30s. I'm close to 40, and I ain't got time for juvenile shit. You know what I mean? I mean, that's one side of it is just the idea. And number two, I'm not just going to tear down a product and pick fights and that's basically what the show that we were on. It's the only reason why, really, because that's why we call it that. I don't watch, if something makes me that mad all the time, I ain't going to watch it. In fact, I'm not even going to talk about it. 168 hours in a week. 168 hours in a week. You're typically, a normal person is working about 40 to 50 hours out of that. So take that instantly off the cuff. You lose that. Boom. Take off another, 30 to 40 hours a week for sleep time. So instantly we're taking 80 hours. We're splitting that in half just for work and sleep, if not more, typically more. So you're telling me that you want to spend your time doing a podcast complaining about something you allegedly love, but sit there and you're miserable, but you got to watch it live because you got to be man, people need to, I think, reevaluate themselves, because maybe you don't understand your own self-worth. Because when you understand your own self-worth, you realize that you do not live in Vince McMahon's universe as much as we love this industry. Vince McMahon's universe lives in my world. I don't watch him live. I'm not a slave to Twitter. I don't care what other people think, and I don't care what people think that WWE should do. I care about what happens with their stocks. I care about what happens when my daughter watches the product, and I just like getting a kick out of stupid little things here and there. Enjoy the show like we used to. So I think there was a myriad of reasons that drove me away from podcasting, but the number one reason is when your daughter comes to you and she tells you a life-changing thing, and it's because she's scared of something that Mike Pence is very against. And really, I'm not even getting into it because it's nobody's business. Other than if you follow Sam and I's work, and you know how beautiful my daughter is, and you know the story of my daughter and how amazing of a human being she is. She's a better human being than I will ever be. And she's a better human being than anybody that I've ever worked with. So when, understand that, you won't understand that when you're in your early 20s and mid-20s, and even when you're single and whatever. But when you're a father and something smacks you in the face like that, no offense, but a little bratty ass 25-year-old punk from Philadelphia can kiss my ass. My daughter wins that battle 100 out of 100 times. Next question.
And before we move on, because we got a lot of good stuff that we were catch up with, just brothers, sitting next to each other in the back porch. Who knows? Drink
Isn't it
some
funny
stuff.
how different this was compared to earlier in the day, though? Earlier in the day, it was just like, yeah, whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Oh, well.
Hey, we're still gonna bring the same heat. The show that was recorded, but technology wanted to be a bitch with us today. That one was really good too. But you guys will enjoy this one too, so no worries. As I was saying, a lot of things that happen, you could take those and take the time. You could choose to look in the mirror and reevaluate your situation and what you could have done better if you still want to do this like I did. Or you could just rest in your laurels and never take the time to really self-construct yourself. It's easy for you to go on a podcast or on Twitter and critique other people and their work in wrestling and try to make it personal because you don't like a certain performer. Like in 2018, wrestling fans literally hate a wrestler for how they are predeterminedly scripted by writers. And just right there just shows you that you need to reevaluate what's important in your life. But also at the same time, as podcasters, when I'm listening to a show and you're basically spitting in my face because you're saying the same shit I can hear on 5 other podcasts, but also you have this Napoleon complex that you're the God's gift of booking, and you know how this should be booked and how that should be booked and this and that. And booking's the only thing that ever matters in professional wrestling. Not ticket sales, not what kids want, not what's really important to the full picture of professional wrestling, because you have this Napoleon complex that everything has to go through what you want, and sometimes I don't even know what we want as wrestling fans. And we talked about this in the past, but at the end of the day, and I left that network too. I fell into the trap, and I let a lot of the stuff that I dealt with wrestling fuck with my head into other decisions that I'm not proud of last year. But you know what? I'm young and I make mistakes, but I'm willing to own up to my mistakes and deal with it. And I talked about that on this show. And if I didn't care about Adam and I didn't feel like he really had an impact on me, I wouldn't have reached out to him. I could have just said, reach out to him so I can have him back on the podcast. No, it was more than that. And he knew that with the messages I sent to him. And it's just very important to understand when you have family members that truly mean something to you and that actually have an impact, as opposed to family members that you do have that try to bring you down all the time. It's important to keep people that really matter to you in a positive light and have them close to your circles. So that's what I wanted to say. But, I'm glad we got this shit to the side and we can finally move on.
You know what, Josh? There's a lot to say to it. And there, just to add on, put the cherry on top of this, there is a lot to say about, I was always big on this, right before I quit podcasting, because it was something that kind of resonated with me. And it was, when John Cena was on Talking Smack or whatever, and he said, you are the sum of the 5 closest people to you.
Right.
And that's one of them things that, just like I'm going to keep saying this, about 168 hours in a week. I'll say that a lot too. There's certain things that just resonate with you, and you take a step back and you look at the people around you. And I'll be honest, Josh, I spent a lot of the second half of 2016 and all of 2017 basically cleaning house and reevaluating who was around me. And I realized who was actually there for me, who wasn't. And you know what? It's funny how when you trim off all the fat and all the dead weight and the people that were holding you back, how success actually does follow. And it's crazy, and I think that's not down talking anybody. I think it's success is different in everybody's mind, and that's the beauty of success. Mm-hmm. But if you're unhappy, take a look around you first, and take a look within, and you got to find that inner peace and find maybe you just ain't rolling with the right people,
Right. So we're back to where we are. We're back in the beginning, and it's crazy to think that we're already at 90 fucking episodes of this stuff, man. But I think the nucleus of what we did together was doing a little something different than you heard from other people. Like, whenever we recorded a show together, it wasn't mostly solely based on booking, in that, like, we just had regular conversations like you're listening to right now. And if you guys were next to us, and you guys know how I feel about the word if my mother had balls, she'd be my father. She doesn't. I don't deal with ifs. I look at the situations that are handed to me, and a lot of things that come in my mouth, I apply context and substance to it. Because you can say whatever you want in life, whether it's on a podcast or on social media. You know, all these people come up with New Year's resolutions and like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And it's like, okay, and then you also have those people who go on their soapboxes about political shit and all this other nonsense. But it's just funny how people come off ignorant in the words that they type on social media and say on the podcast, because do you really feel that? For those who listen to podcasts this week and they go venting about Raw 25, right? I want you to ask yourself as a listener, is this person really feeling that angst towards Raw 25? Or is he saying the same thing that everybody else was saying in the mob mentality on Twitter during that show on Monday? That's a question I want to pose to you guys.
Yeah, and I mean, and Josh, we know the answer. We already know what the answer is. It's a mixture of two things, and this is where I think that, you know, Sam and I talked about this a couple times on our podcast. And guys, truth be told, we don't know if we're gonna do a show again, just because we kind of got tired of the same arguments and the same, you know, something Corey Graves said last year really stuck with me. Specifically with me, and you know, he said when they were doing, I think it was one of the Bring It to the Tables or whatever,
right?
And it wasn't about necessarily podcasting and like, you know, the negativity and this and that. He was just like, you know, if you're doing a podcast, it's not the podcast, but are you really doing are you helping the business or are you hurting the business? You know, and that kind of stuck with me, because it's like, listen, we all claim to love this, but we sit here and we just go on a podcast and trash like the company. And it's like, why are we doing this? And the reason why I'm bringing that up is twofold. Number one, that's why you rarely hear me tear down talent, and if I make a joke, I'm making a joke about, we've always, you know, Sam and I unfortunately had to always be like, we're talking about the characters, not the real people, because people are so dense that they just don't get jokes anymore.
Right.
But, you know, if anybody, tearing down fourth walls here, should have an issue with, like, say, Baron Corbin, it's me. Me and him had a little confrontation in a New Orleans bar, you know? But at the end of the day, why was I in a New Orleans bar at 4 o'clock in the morning, you know, years ago? And at the same time, he was just doing his job, trying to be a heel, coming up, you know, and I ain't mad at him. And I spent the better part of 2017 trying to get the dude over on our podcast, you know, and not Sam didn't help that out because she's not a Baron Corbin fan. but you know how I am, man. If Baron Corbin succeeds, in my mind, that's like Graves succeeding. Hell, we were arguing over Graves, and I'm just trying to tell the dude, I'm a Corey Graves mark. Dude just wasn't hearing me. God damn it. But anyway, so I kind of looked at it as like, what am I really doing, man? Like, you know, I could go on here and try and, like, shit talk Baron Corbin all I want to, but is that doing anything for the business? No. It's not doing anything good for the business or myself. It's making me look petulant, you know? I'd rather discuss, like, hey, you know what? Doesn't it make me look a little bit better if I'm saying, yo, this dude tried to pick a fight with me in a bar. Oh, well, he's still killing it on TV. Let's see this dude succeed.
Right.
I think that's helping the business, you know? That's another reason why I don't know if what Sam and I are going to do, because we're not going to fall into keeping up with the Joneses type of this segment was terrible and this was Josh, I can't. And to answer your question, why? Yeah, it was an absolute mob mentality, because one, people can't think for themselves. Two, people want to feel included. It's a very inclusive thing. People don't realize that it's also wrestling Twitter. It's just a bubble among a lot of things. And like, this is something that you brought up, so make sure you get credit for this. What we watched was SNL 40. This was the hits. They were giving us the hits. They were giving us the greatest hits of 25 years. And this was for everybody. This wasn't for the hardcore fan. This wasn't supposed to be a go-home show. This was supposed to bring in, basically, if you watched Raw, if WWE or WWF, Monday Night Raw has been a part of your life in some capacity for the past 25 years, they wanted something for you. So that way, even if you were reading about it the next day online, and whether it was a YouTube clip or on WWE.com or whatever, there was a little bit for everybody. And I don't understand this need as wrestling fans to feel that shows have to be completely catered to you specifically.
Right.
Because if that's the case, we talk about this. This is why I don't like the term WWE logic, or the term New Japan Pro logic, or the term Progress logic, or the term, because of course that's their logic. We used this earlier, Josh. That would be like me saying as an Oakland Raider fan, man, these Raiders, I wish they'd stop using that Raider logic and start using the Patriots logic. I mean, yeah, of course, I'd have a hell of a lot more trophies right now. But on the flip side of it, their system doesn't match our system. You know what I mean? Like, everybody has their own little system. Much like if whomever's listening to this, if you ran your own wrestling company, you would have your own logic, because you would have your own form of storytelling that you like. So if you disagree with their storytelling, that's fine and dandy.
Right.
But I don't understand why so many people take so many hours. And that's what I started to evaluate, man. Like, 168 hours in a week. How much of it was I spending just basically to go on podcasts to complain? Because other people, and not because I wanted to complain, because that's what we had to talk about, because the people want us to complain. No. It was like, it was to a point where I couldn't watch wrestling for a couple months, because it was just, I was so sour on even just the idea of watching the product. So, I don't know. Josh, I think the answer is that people don't know what they want, and they don't, even to this day, they haven't figured out what they're watching with WWE. They really still don't get that it's a kid's show. They don't want to admit to themselves that it's absolutely a kid's show with adult themes, you know what I mean? But it's a kid's show.
I just don't know how we got to the point where when you leave a show having questions, is a representation of it being a bad show. Isn't it supposed to be the other way around? If you have questions and things you try to figure out, especially on a Big 4 weekend, I think that's kind of the point. You want to know why this is happening. That's why you have the pay-per-view. That's why you have 10 hours of wrestling coming up in the next 4 days. These coming 4 days this weekend. In Philly. By the way, hashtag Philly is trash. I just want to throw that out there. I hope that trends this weekend. I get it. Philly cheesesteaks, fine. I like it. It's okay. But besides Philly, I know the Eagles are going to be in the Super Bowl. And personally, we talked about this earlier, but I have Patriot Fatigue. So this is like one of the rare Super Bowls that I just don't give a shit. Like, yeah, it's football. I'll watch, but I don't have emotional interest into it. And also, I'm not one of those football fans who's just like vent so much about Patriots where I want to like snap at people. It's just, I have fatigue. I've been watching football since ¡99, and I've seen Patriots either in the AFC Championship or Super Bowl in that time period. And props to them. They deserve it. They had to put a good model of success, and they deserve credit. Do they have Deflategate? Yes. Do they have Spygate? Yes. Do they have insecure, passive-aggressive players? Sure. Do you have... Yeah, you have the tuck rule. Yeah. John Gruden said in his press conference, that was a fumble. And I agree with him. That was a fumble.
That's been eating at him. Since January 20th, 2002, that's been eating at him. Trust me.
Yes. So, we could talk about this to the cows go home, but at the end of the day, like I said, it was supposed to be a celebration show. Nothing else. They marketed it that way, and I didn't know something changed. Was this supposed to be something where all the old guys were supposed to put the new guys over? Because if that was the case, then yeah, they did in a certain context. Because look what DX did with the Balor Club. Look in a subtle way how Chris Jericho gave Elias a rub. Look what John Cena did later on that segment with Elias too. Like, there was rubs. There was a lot of self-patting on the back on that show too. But guess what? It's a 25th anniversary. I'm not surprised, and they should get complimented for having the show running that long on television. So yeah, was there some self-loathing from WWE during that show? Absolutely.
Well, and you know what, Josh? I think part of it too is, and we're going to hear this in a couple weeks. during the Super Bowl, we're going to hear, oh my God, there's too many commercials. Oh, this is so much worse than normal. And listen, I'm not saying these aren't valid arguments, because they absolutely are.
8-hour pre-show.
Right, the 8-hour pre-show. And sometimes the Super Bowl, the game gets lost in the pageantry. And I think that with Raw 25, that's something that you kind of had to know was going to happen. It wasn't going to be your typical Raw. It was, like you said earlier, I keep bringing this up, SNL 40. This is and it's different than Raw 1000 too. This is celebrating 25 years straight of new programming every week. Is totally insane. But just real quick, like we joked about this earlier, I'm so torn in the Super Bowl just because I'm like pulling for both teams in a weird way. Like we talked about this, like I'm pulling for. It'd be nice to see Philly get a championship because their football team's the one team I actually do like. I don't mind cheering for them. It'd be nice to see like a storied franchise get like get a championship because they never had one.
Right.
On the flip side, the heel in me, that's like the good guy in me. The heel in me that lives in Pittsburgh, that has to listen to Pittsburgh Steelers fans, think that Tom Brady is like their arch nemesis of like arch nemesis. Like you think about like Steelers teams in the past and like some of the rivalries they had with the Oakland Raiders, with the Baltimore Ravens, the Cleveland Browns, Houston Oilers, the House of Pain. Where the reason why they were great rivalries is they were mutual. Pittsburgh's yet to figure out that New England doesn't even think about Pittsburgh. Like they're not even Pittsburgh. The Steelers are not on like New England's radar, and I think that's what drives Steeler fans the most crazy. And it's funny listening to Steeler fans just like they're so worried right now that Tom Brady by himself is going to have as many Super Bowls as the Steelers franchise. So the heel in me is pulling for the Patriots in that manner. But it's something, Josh, to tie this into wrestling too, and then we'll get back into the wrestling thing.
Yep.
This is something else that's kind of I find ironic sometimes, and where you have to ask, are you a fan or are you not a fan? And I was talking to my dad about during the games last weekend. And I was like, so, what are you thinking? And again, guys, 168 hours in a week. I wasn't watching the games really that much. The Raiders are out of it, so that's the reason for me to watch live. But, I was trying to text my dad here and there to, see what the scores of the game were, kind of keep up with him. And he was like, my dad's MO is basically, he's going, now this is an old school football guy. He's watching until Tom Brady gets knocked out. Because he wants to see Tom Brady get knocked out of the playoffs. So what you're telling me is that you're going to keep watching. If Brady keeps winning, even though you claim, as a diehard Steeler fan, you claim to hate Tom Brady so much, you want to see him lose so bad, but you're giving him the satisfaction of having him beat you every time, like you're in an abusive relationship with Tom Brady, I think. Or you're secretly a fan. I don't know. But I think that's what you hear that a lot in Pittsburgh. It's like, yeah, I can't wait to watch him get knocked out. Why are you still watching him if you're that sore about it? You know what I mean? Like,
I got a closing line at the end of the show that relates to that when we close out the show. It's something that we did earlier today that was pretty funny, but I'll bring that back for you guys. You'll enjoy it. But I want to flip something here and give you guys a little preview for NXT. I know some of you guys don't get the opportunity to watch the show each week. I just want to go a little bit over the card because I know Adam's been out of the loop for NXT, so I'll let him know what's happening on the show, and we can share some predictions in the meantime. Then we'll head into the Rumble and then get the hell out of here. But let's start off with NXT coming up this Saturday. I've stated this on the show that I don't think that every single takeover is the greatest thing since sliced bread. I'm sorry if that offends you. I'm not holding back on that thought. I thought War Games was fine. I didn't think it was great. Yeah, the match was cool, but some of the other stuff was like, whatever. But that's the thing, though, the underground thing. Like, there's this mentality that NXT is Teflon, that they could do no wrong, and I don't agree with that. But at the same time, I'm also the wrestling fan that likes to look at things from a bigger picture standpoint. And I could even if you guys think there's nothing in wrestling that I don't disagree with, you're wrong. But I'm not one of those guys who's like, I don't agree that this person won on a random Raw on this 5-week build to a pay-per-view. I'm just keeping it 100. Those matches on Raw or SmackDown, unless it's a title match, they have no consequences to it. So why should I be mostly pissed off that my favorite wrestler lost on this week to Raw? Like, I saw somebody go on this fucking 30-minute rant on YouTube because Finn Balor lost to Kane on a random Raw. I'm like, are you serious? I didn't even watch the video. I just saw the title. Finn Balor gets jobbed out to Kane. Rant. I'm like, wow. Like Adam said, we have all these hours in the week, and you're worrying about Kane winning a random match on television. But let's go back to NXT.
That's
go
what
ahead.
people want. That's like what is just. I don't know. That's just what's to me is so frightening. And I always talk about it. It's such an unhealthy climate to live in when you have to be extreme. It has to be polarizing. It has to be one side or the other. This is like. Live in a really weird world right now. Like, this isn't one of those like, oh, what a time to live. This is people need to fucking check themselves.
Right.
You know, like that Logan was that dude Logan Paul Logan, that asshole.
Yeah, Logan Paul. Mm-hmm.
Or whatever. Yeah. Whatever that dude. Like, we're getting too far. We're getting way too far. And what's sad is we keep making the joke that one day we're gonna end up in idiocracy, but we're already there. We're there.
Right.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, XFL. As I now see an XFL logo.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier today. We always have breaking news, and then the XFL's back, and whatever makes you happy, you gotta do what you gotta do. And we talked about this in the earlier recording. There's a sense of pride for Vince that he wants to prove himself wrong and prove other people wrong. And his project didn't work out. The bodybuilding thing didn't work out. WWF New York didn't work out. So like I'm not surprised this is happening, but hey man, whatever makes you happy. I think the success of that 30 for 30 special on ESPN last for the XFL is kind of the driving force behind this decision. So we'll see what happens, but that's in 2020. That's 2 years from now. We have other stuff that we need to get to talk about. I mean, we barely got into the new year. I mean, come on, guys. I'm not going to worry about the XFL coming up this summer or anything like that.
Oh, the XFL.
Yes.
This is going to be interesting. I mean, I have my, we talked, that's what sucks about the other show, kind of getting like erased, but deleted. But, I could somewhat see upside, but like you said, brother, you kind of have Patriots fatigue. I think a lot of us just have football fatigue.
Yeah.
And we're creatures that, I think we're more creatures of habit than people realize, and I'm not saying that the XFL couldn't work because I watched a lot, last time they had it, and I really tried to get into it, but I think that they have to figure out what they're going to do with it, and I don't know. Creatures of habit. It's hard to break a habit. That's the only reason why most of you are still watching Raw. It's not because you even enjoy the product. You're a creature of habit. That's why you're going on podcasts and on the internet and complaining and not enjoying yourself.
Right. Exactly.
You're a creature of habit. So,
yep. All right.
Your night routine.
So, NXT TakeOver Philadelphia, a lot of the shows, actually all the shows are going to be at the Wells Fargo Center from Saturday to Tuesday. Now every Big Four show you'll have the SmackDown in that same week, in that same city. So it's a cool thing for the city. It brings a lot of money. It also offers some jobs too because they do go all out during those weekends. So it's good business. And I found out yesterday they're actually having the Royal Rumble in Phoenix at the Arizona Diamondbacks baseball field next year in 2019. So that's pretty cool. So
I think that's a smart move. I think I've always said in here, WWE, this one's for free. But I've said this like a million times, like over the years. Why isn't SummerSlam at a baseball stadium?
Right.
It could hold, like PNC Park is a beautiful park. Not that I'm trying to sell Pittsburgh here to you guys, but you could probably fit 40-some thousand people in there. Not quite WrestleMania, but your second biggest pay-per-view of the year. Think about Minnesota that way. Think about like a lot of your cold weather cities, Cleveland, your cold weather cities that can't host WrestleMania could host SummerSlam in that capacity. I don't know, something to think about.
Mm-hmm. So we have 5 matches on the show, and I was talking about this with a couple of friends the other day. I have a feeling that this particular takeover will reach the 3-hour for the first time. Just with the matches that are announced and the implications behind those. There's like 4 title matches on the show, I think. Am I right? No, there's 3. And then there's the Extreme Rules match and then another one that was added yesterday. So I think we may reach the first takeover that hits 3 hours. So you heard that here first. First one here we got Velveteen Dream taking on Cassius Ohno. Cassius Ohno is kind of playing the veteran guy from the first establishment of NXT. I'll never know if he'll get a run for WWE, but the fact that he's on these takeover specials are fine, and I enjoy him as a wrestler. Had a lot more respect for Chris Hero after watching that CM Punk documentary again. A couple months ago, I actually took the time to write out that documentary like a movie script and do that. That was a lot of fun. It came out better than I thought it was going to be. So
challenging too.
Yeah, it is. Following on with closed caption and not easy. But Chris Hero is the man. This match should be fun. I'm looking forward to it. I'll probably go with Velveteen Dream here. I don't have any fancy booking things because I don't know what they're going to do for TakeOver in New Orleans. But by the way, you know they're having Velveteen smoothies at the Smoothie King Center. Just think about that.
Yeah, they should. The Smoothie King Center is an interesting little venue. But yeah, that would be good. That'd be good. He's the perfect character for that city too.
Yes, he is. You went to Mania 30, right?
Yes.
Can you give me a little scouting report for Smoothie King Center since this is my first time going to New Orleans?
Well, you know what, Josh? Rather than giving you a scouting report for the Smoothie King Center, I just want you to know that New Orleans is the city that was made for WrestleMania. So, I mean, I don't want to just hype up WrestleMania or try and make it seem like I'm being a fanboy or talk up the city of New Orleans because it's the most incredible place. Yeah, it really battles Vancouver, British Columbia with me, the greatest places I've been. It's not because I just think that, again, that city was made for WrestleMania. So the venue, I don't think it matters as much. And anyone going to WrestleMania this year, which I highly recommend, we might go down and just not buy tickets and just go down for the weekend. It's the greatest city, and anybody that went to WrestleMania 30 knows that was the greatest WrestleMania you went to. And it wasn't because of the event, the vibe that just the city gives off and how close-knit everyone was, and just, you trust me, just I can't say it enough. WrestleMania, anyone going to 34 is going to have a blast.
I can't wait. I'm looking forward to going to New Orleans for the first time. I'm staying with Brother Carter during that weekend. Hopefully I see you down there, Pugster. You'll let me know beforehand. So, if for those who are listening, if you're good brothers and good sisters and don't have your head up your ass, I'd love to meet you guys down there too. So, other stuff on NXT TakeOver Philadelphia coming up this Saturday. We have we can go through the rest of these matches really quick. The Undisputed Era against the Authors of Pain. You told me earlier that I had a little look of the Authors of Pain going here.
You look like the third author of Pain right now.
I know, right? Guys.
There's what is it? Acam, Razor.
Yeah.
And gosh. You're going to be Buzzsaw.
I'll admit, I had to render this beard obsolete very soon.
I would keep it, man. Keep it. Start wearing a tactical vest and just start wrecking shop.
Right. The ladies like the beards and the tactical vests these days, so it is what it is.
There's a reason why I have a beard, and it's not because I think it looks good.
So, Undisputed Era, I think they got a corny theme song, but I always love Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish. I call him Red Dragon. They're taking out the Authors of Pain. It's kind of different because I don't know who to root for in this match. It's kind of thing, because it's Philly, you can just put 2 heel tag teams going against each other. So, it's kind of different dynamic in that standpoint. But I'll go with Undisputed Era to probably retain.
Yeah, I haven't seen NXT since the 8th grade picnic. So, no, I it's legit. The last NXT I saw was the last TakeOver, so I don't want to chime in and say one way or the other. But I do agree with you, dude. There's just something about I love everyone in Undisputed Era. I just don't dig the moniker, and I don't dig the song. I love the color scheme, but just don't. I just something's not clicking. But that's being petty, to be honest. So
yeah, petty.
Some people don't like Absolution and Riot Squad. I think both of those names are badass. So it's just me being petty.
And I like the girls from both factions. And think about this: Sonya and Mandy Rose from Tough Enough, and they've improved a lot in the ring recently too. So I want to give a shout out to them.
Yeah. Oh, both are doing really, really well. Like both factions, I like what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. And for those who like girls next doors, especially crazy ones, I like Sarah Logan. Not only is she hot, but she has a lot of interesting characteristics that she could have like a deep, dark character one of these days. I know she did Crazy Mary Dobson in the Indies. I just like everything Sarah Logan has to offer, so I think she has a good run for Riot Squad. Also, Liv Morgan too. She's gonna have a good future as well.
Who's in the women's NXT title match?
Shayna Baszler and Ember Moon.
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, and they really want us to believe that Rousey hasn't shown up this weekend. Come on, man. Come on.
Yeah, this is going to be a rough weekend for fans who don't like MMA fighters winning wrestling titles in matches.
You think they'll... I don't know. I actually think that Ember might carry it. I hope that she carries it as a fan, but I like Baszler too. Man, I didn't know that was the matchup for this. Ooh.
I heard the scenario that Ember could get herself intentionally disqualified because like she gets pissed off and then just like a full Donnybrook breaks out and like sometimes where the bayfaces just let their anger get the best of them, something like that to continue the feud. So that's an option too. I just think they're going to strike with the irons hot, and Shayna Baszler got a lot of heat for herself after the ending of that Mae Young Classic. And I'm happy she signed to the company because she's a really good performer. And even for her to be almost 40, think about that. That girl's in her late 30s, and she's fought in a lot of MMA promotions. And she looks like she's 25. And she's doing great work. So I think Shayna will become the NXT Women's Champion on Saturday. But either way, I'm looking forward to that match. That should be pretty good.
And I think that no matter how good or bad of shape that you're in, and this is the thing that you start to realize as you get older. And I'm not trying to play an ageist here, so internet don't attack me.
Right.
But listen, once you start creeping up there, you start getting a little bit closer to 40. I'm seeing it now because it's a little bit in the distance. It's that light at the end of the tunnel, but I'm not quite there. It's a little bit harder to get up in the morning. Bones creak a little bit more, and it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's just one of those. It's just that age, that 37, 38, 39 into 40. That's an important age for any athlete, and I think probably for all people. But that's really where you're going to see how much time you got left on the wagon, so to speak.
And we saw that a lot with John Cena and AJ Styles over the last couple years. So,
that's why you got to give these guys a lot of credit. I know people have mocked them, and I'm glad that the industry has changed so that these men and women can compete longer. You know what I mean? I like that people's careers are being extended and they're taking better care of themselves. Because listen, everyone laughs out there because everyone thinks they're these cocky. Most wrestling fans, and I know probably most people listening, is cocky little 20-year-olds like I was, thinking you know it all, and then you're going to be 38 years old going, Jesus, where's my Advil? You guys will all see.
Yeah, I'm in for it. It's going to happen. Here we go. The two big hitters for this pay-per-view for me. Our boys, Aleister Black, take on Adam Cole. Baby! It's an Extreme Rules match. That's going to be a lot of fun. And then we got Almas and Johnny Gargano for the NXT title. That's the main event of this show.
Okay. You know what I think, and this is going to sound really bad, and I'm saying this to try and put perspective on this, because again we're thinking about the casual fan. I think they realize who they're marketing to, and it's definitely not the casual fan. And I don't think that they ever think that the casual fan is going to ever tune into NXT. But this is the difference between NXT now and a couple years ago. You know what I mean? And I mean this by no disrespect, but we were main eventing what? Joe versus Balor. We were main eventing Kevin Owens, right? You know what I mean? Like, you look at the names we're main eventing. Right now, it's Adrian, Sienna Almas, and Johnny Gargano. That doesn't scream main event to me. You know what I mean? Like, Aleister Black, Adam Cole, that screams main event. You know? So I don't know. I think that's where as much as listen, guys, I love NXT too, because you could just put on the pay-per-view, and the pay-per-views are incredible. I think it's important to keep it in perspective, though, that it's because they're catering to the wrestling bubble with those pay-per-views. So they damn sure better be good, because if they're not good, then they struck out, because those are supposed to be the ones for us, not the Rumble.
Yeah, just like that NXT special on USA.
Yeah,
a month ago.
Exactly. You know, I mean, that was on there to get people kind of like to get people somewhat quasi-familiar, but they knew they're not going to grab like a handful of people. You know, I mean, the NXT is going to stay for the hardcore fan.
Right.
So.
Yeah, we can just admit that we have a super indie on the WWE Network. That's what it is. Not that there's anything wrong with indies, like I mentioned before. I'm just pointing out the obvious with how they produce the show. And it's for the internet. It's on the internet. So it's good business, and it's a niche market that people want. So we always talk about WWE being the ultimate variety show for wrestling fans now, and now they're reaching towards that. I wouldn't say Disney, because you still get some edgy stuff here and there in the product, even though the product's labeled PG, but it's just the expansion of it just keeps growing, and you have these different branches of the product now where, like, people get excited for these documentary series or the 24/7 or the 365 they did at Kevin Owens a month ago. Like, they get excited for those just as much as they get excited for a Raw or a pay-per-view coming up. So you have all these different properties, and it's just good business, and it showed in their revenues last year. Holy shit.
And the thing is, guys, too, I mean, Josh, this is something that I think it's important to note is, you know, especially when the industry seems to be going through somewhat of a growing phase where it's either you are going to grab some more people in, you know, and that's, I think, why they're bringing back so many people. They're doing a lot of callbacks, I feel like, because they know that they're piquing the interest of people that used to watch.
Right.
And that's why, love it or hate it, you know, where I work, they couldn't give two shits about wrestling. They actually kind of laughed, you know, when I found out, or when they found out my pitch was that I've been doing wrestling media for a while. But then when they realized that I could break it down, well, listen, this isn't just pro wrestling. It's a movie company. It's a reality. You know, they produce reality shows. You start breaking everything down layer by layer, and you start trimming out the fat, and you're like, oh, shit, wait a minute. This dude understands, like, business, you know? And I don't fully understand WWE's business because I've never obviously worked for them, and I don't think you really understand their business unless you work for them. But it's something that I know wrestling fans might not like it, but in your first ever Women's Royal Rumble, how you sell a pay-per-view is, we talked about this, you put Ronda Rousey in it, you have her, in my opinion, you have her open the damn Rumble. And I don't mean like open the show, I mean when the Women's Royal Rumble, don't have her number one, save that for years down the line when you utilize that.
Right.
Make her the number 2 entrant so that she still starts the Rumble and have her run the table. And I know as wrestling fans, it's going to drive us crazy because you think, you know, it deserves, what are the women that are there deserve it more, and how can they just hand it over to somebody that just came over? It's because it would make a bigger splash as a crossover into mainstream media if it's Ronda Rousey winning this first Royal Rumble than it would be if it was whoever else. I mean, pick any random name here.
Right.
And that's not disparaging any of the women that are wrestling there. It's just we have to think about household names, and like it or not, everyone says, well, her star is dwindled out. Bullshit. My place of employment, people were coming out of the woodwork, and again, that's why I brought up, like, they hate wrestling. They're all like, hey, what's this I hear about Rousey? Hey, I heard Rousey's coming to wrestling. Like, it was like a scene from The Office where people's heads were just, like, sticking out, like, guys, they, you know, I guess. I heard it hit work before, because I'm never online. I don't read dirt sheets. So, with all of that being said, you know, I think that's where we have to remember, guys. NXT is, and that's where. But just for me, that's nothing against either of them. But Johnny Gargano versus Cien Almas doesn't seem like a main event match to me.
We hit on polarizing things earlier in the show, right? About people not looking themselves in the mirror, or talking behind their words and this and that, and a lot of this stems in a weird way where, like, if you have a disagreement with a person on a certain character, people just lose their mind. And I'm glad I remembered this, because I wanted to talk about this the last time we recorded, and I had a topic that I've been waiting to talk to you for a long time about.
Oh.
Am I the only person who enjoys Jinder Mahal?
Oh, no, not at all. Yeah, not at all. Listen, people are gonna hate just because they're gonna hate, because he was damn near champion for 200 days. And I mean, but you're mad, you're angry.
Because he brought old school heat back.
You're taking to the interwebs. And here's the thing, here's what people don't like to hear, and I laugh about it so much. When you take to the interwebs and you start clanging them keys, you realize you're an unpaid worker for the WWE, right? Like, when you go and you slam your fingers on them keyboards, that Jinder Mahal sax, you're slamming your fingers down. You're doing WWE's work because he's a bad guy, and you're proving their point that he's effective. It doesn't matter. The reason why Ryback got let go is because people didn't trash Ryback online, and that's just a fact. He became indifferent. Indifference is what costs you your job. Heat is never going to cost you your job, because they could utilize you to help put over the United States Championship. They could utilize you to help put over the main championship. They could help you put over basically any talent they want, because the world is now convinced that Jinder Mahal is so terrible. Man, did WWE play all of you.
Hey, man, people can't admit the fact that he was the breakout guy last year. It's not even close.
Not only, and here's one thing that Sam always talked about, and she still to this day always talks about, and the reason why she loves Jinder as much as she does. She loves the entire presentation of the Singh brothers coming out first, and then just the way that they introduced Jinder Mahal, and just the whole entrance package, how like the rug slowly kind of like goes out and stuff. Like,
right.
The whole character as a whole is awesome. It's to me is just funny to watch how this is basically what this is Muhammad Hassan 2018 or 2017 is all it was. In a different tweaked so they could get it on TV and get away with it. But I think a lot of people were just upset because his words rang true, and it pissed people off. And it's
Hey, justice was served, damn it. We got our Muhammad Hassan title run that we're supposed to get back in Ruthless Aggression era, damn it.
I was happy for Jinder, man. And here's the thing, you gotta look at the business side of it too. And not talking, the one thing that drove me nuts about, and I hate to say, like, I feel like he's Voldemort, but fuck him. But the one thing about Enzo Amore's thing with Corey Graves, with Graves' new show,
yes,
it kind of pissed me off was, well, cuz, look, when they put the Cruiserweight title on me, cuz, look at how stocks go up, how you doing? That's when they opened up in the fucking Indian television market, you fucking knucklehead. I'm sure that had something to do with it. You know what I mean? I'm sure the 1.3 billion people in India, like, during that time frame had a hell of a lot more to do with that spike than Enzo Amore getting handed the Cruiserweight title. That's a prop. I don't know. 1.3 billion people versus a prop. You tell me which one brings in more money, and then
I got added update with the XFL. Vince said in his press conference that there will be no crossover from WWE to the XFL as opposed to last time. So you're not gonna.
I think important.
So you're not gonna have John Cena. You're not gonna have the New Day gyrating their hips before kickoff. You know what I mean? So just for those who are wondering.
Wow. Like I said, we talked about this earlier, and I know this is going to be an unpopular opinion, but if they really want to be what ultimately they want to be, and that's the anti-NFL, you better have Colin Kaepernick on a roster.
Right.
And I'm just saying that because if that's your MO, is we're going to let you hit harder, we're going to have the players that the NFL, this is going to be, if that's going to be what it is, there's no way in however many teams that you're going to have it'll be absolute. I mean, this is a couple years from now anyway. So I mean, I don't know how old Kaepernick is, but just saying, if there's still this exiling, that would be a surefire way to get people interested in your product. You know.
So yeah, man. Me and you were always always good aside for the guys that could bring heat. Whether it was Jinder or like Damian Sandow from a couple years ago. I love the stuff that he was doing with Miz, and that was a lot of fun. Even, some fun thing that we did together when we were recording the shows was Axel Mania, where he's like, he's still in the Rumble. Yeah, he's still in the Rumble match, by the way. 3 years later.
Still's never been eliminated. Never lost.
So, man, we hit a lot of ground here, but it's time to get into the Rumble. We had some good scenarios, and what we were talking about here today for the Rumble, let's talk about like some of the surprises that we can see and who could win. This is not more fancy, but we just want to add some surprises to the scenario. As far as me, for the other matches that I'm going for, I got the Usos, I got the Bar becoming new tag team champions. I have Braun actually win the Universal title. Then I had AJ find a way to sneak out with the WWE title. We talked about Daniel Bryan and Shane tension. That it's sooner or later that these guys are going to come to blows. And especially how they always had those cliffhangers on SmackDown where Shane's like, it's questioning him, and then he shows a little cheap shot here and there, and Bryan has some liners back as well. What do you call those, zingers? Yeah, he'll add a couple zingers in that too. So, I'm sure there'll be shenanigans in that WWE title match, but AJ, Owens, and Zayn, they'll find a way to make that match interesting. And then I even think with the tag team matches, when you have a Big Four show, and obviously the gimmick and the marquee for that match for that pay-per-view is the Rumble matches. And you got two matches that are 40 to an hour long, and you need something in between to keep your interest. And it's funny, I was rewatching the Royal Rumble that you went to in Pittsburgh. That was one of the Wrestling Rewind articles that I did a couple weeks ago, and rewatching that show, and you had Daniel Bryan and Bray Wyatt for 30 minutes. Then Brock Lesnar killed the Big Show, and then we had John Cena against Randy Orton, and everybody's chanting everything God knows the man in that pay-per-view.
Think about that, and I know they could say, let's not do revisionist history for a second.
Right.
Unless January 2014, Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania was chanting, "We want divas" in the middle of the WWE Undisputed Championship match. So the Women's Revolution, this is something that we've been clamoring for a long time. I think that, and I think this is something that as fans, we helped it, but we did it the right way. This is where I think we actually did do it the right way, where there was enough between female talent that finally had enough and was brave enough to speak their minds, between fans that were steadfast and never veered away. Because typically as wrestling fans, Josh, here's what happens.
Right.
It's the shiny object. So we're mad about one thing, they switch it on us, that we instantly, it's like we're a dog, shiny object. We run over there, we get mad about the other thing,
Right.
But there was, it was just like we all got fed up, and we're like, enough's enough. We want women's wrestling, and we want good women's wrestling, and it's you guys are holding us. The company. It's not that there isn't women. It's the company that's not allowing this to happen. So I do feel but guys, change doesn't come overnight. That's why I don't. You have to be steadfast, and you have to be logical. You have to make sure that your arguments are compelling. You have to make sure that there's money behind your arguments. Don't just come with a vacant argument of like, why don't you like Roman Reigns? Well, because you shoved him down our throats. Okay, well, he's number 2 in merchandise sales. Well, it's because he has more shirts. Like, that's because he sells more shirts.
Right.
Well. Like, come on, man. Come on.
He's a steroid user.
Wake up. Yeah. Name one person up until 2007 in WWE that didn't do steroids, and I'll point at them and tell them they're a fucking liar.
before we make our predictions for the Rumble, I do want to give a shout out to our boy Matt Hardy, because me, you, and Derek had this spot together when we were doing the other warm-up show with the love for Broken Matt Hardy and all the phrases and stuff. And it looks like we're going to get Broken Matt back soon. And for those who are trashing the Woken character, another thing of people not letting things play out. But what else is new? Your lovely wife tossed out a great idea for a future Matt Hardy plan to have.
She wants this so bad.
She wants Vanguard 1 to retrieve to procure the bank that has money in it. So I think that's one of the coolest ideas for a Money in the Bank ladder match. So I hope that happens.
Like we play WWE 2K18, and we'll just be sitting there playing, and she'll just start talking about it. I just wish you could get Vanguard 1. Can you imagine if you could get Vanguard 1 on the game, and you could fly in and grab the briefcase? It's like, Sam, all right, I get it. It's a brilliant idea. You don't have to sell it to me anymore.
Yeah, like I wonder if you could put an option in the game where you have like 12 different caskets, so you can make the Battlefield for Massacre. Yeah, send your Benjamin out there. You just put different guys in the roster, and it's like a 20-man death match.
Sooner or later, eventually. There's so much you can do to create on this game. They'll get there eventually.
Yeah. Senior Benjamin. And then he has a scribe too. I thought that was funny. And then the Lake of Reincarnation. That's tremendous.
The Lazarus Pit.
Yeah, I got a dilapidated boat.
So that was what put me over the edge, was the dilapidated boat. Yeah, I think me, you, and Derek were the three that were like, from the jump, we were the three that like got it. And we were like, oh, this is good. But
fade away, classify myself as
E to the R to the E to the. So what were we doing? What were we talking about?
To the D to the E to the R to the E.
Shout out there.
I think I did his intro one time when we were on there, right? He's like, "Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Wrestling World." Good evening, everybody. Brother Carter, you obsolete mule. Yes.
Listen, there's a dude on CNN that reminds me of Derek so much. His name's John Berman. So, and it's the greatest thing in the world. I feel like Derek is never left me, because I watch Derek give me the news every day. So.
Yeah. All right. So I'll just throw this out there really quick. I think Becky is my pick for now to win the Women's Rumble match. Originally, I had Paige. Unfortunately, things are out with the injury, and I know the reports that are out there. I've read them. I'm not buying to it till I see something from the company or from herself. That's how I'm approaching it. I'm not saying that her career's over or anything like that. That's not for me to say. I was fortunate enough to get to see her perform in Chicago for that Christmas show, and I love what she was doing with Absolution, and she looks better than she ever has before. I thought she was putting on good matches. It's crazy to see that, so many people put a lot of the four horsewomen in this pedestal of these great in-ring performers, but it's interesting. Alexa Bliss and Paige weren't part of that equation, but besides Charlotte, a lot of them are better than Bayley and Sasha. I think Becky's underrated because she does a little bit more of the MMA and submission background, so fans don't give her the credit that she deserves because she's more technical than other female performers. But I always said this, even before we had this whole storyline of the Women's Revolution, I thought Paige was the best in the world. Just from a character standpoint and what she could do in the ring, and I thought this was the perfect opportunity for her to win. To think about her being the one to break Asuka's streak would have been tremendous. So it sucks that it's not her in this match, but I'm going with Becky Lynch. But I have a couple of surprises for the match. I have one. I think Gail Kim could be part of the match, possibly, since she's out of contract with TNA. I threw that out there. I think E. Torres, Gracie can be part of the match as well. Maybe Velvet Sky would be a nice little surprise for in there because TNA had a good market in Philly. I think they did a Bound for Glory there once, actually. Okay. I could be wrong, but I think they did a Bound for Glory there. And then the other one, my main surprise was Awesome Kong.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I like Karma coming in for a one-off. Because like you said, it's a great time with Glow. And if you haven't seen Glow, watch Glow. It's incredible.
Is it nominated for the Oscars? No, it was nominated in the Emmys. Yeah. I saw Alison Brie nominated. That's pretty awesome for her case.
Yeah. Unreal. And the way that the women of Glow too have like really dedicated themselves to making this show now. I mean, I've been really following the show and like just the actresses that are in it and stuff, and they're really dedicated to this, making this like a project that kind of sticks for a while,
right.
Which is good to see. You know what I mean? Like I wanted Glow to really work, so it's good that it was really entertaining. It's cast perfectly. Mark Maron is amazing in it. Alison Brie's great in it. I mean, you know, go on and on. But okay, so here's what I would do, and I know until I guess this person says anything or WWE says anything, I'm still taking it that Ronda Rousey's winning the Rumble. I'm still in that boat just because I think that from a business standpoint, you want to make history on your first one. The first WrestleMania, Hulk Hogan didn't defend his championship, not because it was bad business, but because it was better business to have him in the match that he was in when you were bringing in pop culture and everything else. So when you have your first Women's Royal Rumble, it's not necessarily it's not a slap in the face to all the women in the locker room. What it's actually doing is helping elevate the locker room, you know. And if you were in that locker room, you understand that. So, so if Ronda signed, in my opinion, you put her in at number 2 and you have her on the table. My surprise would be at number 30 is Eve Marie.
Yes.
Yes. Hot Philly crowd, you know what I mean? And
yes.
Having Eve Marie come back for a one-night thing, this like screams perfect. This is a perfect marriage of what a Royal Rumble like callback should be. You know what I mean? Or a comeback should be. I dig your Karma pick coming back. I wouldn't mind seeing Peyton Royce come up from NXT.
Yes.
Like I said, my daughter is becoming a Peyton Royce fan, and I'd like for her to see a little bit more of her if they called her up to the main roster. I don't think Asuka needs to win because I think her and Alexa are already telling their story. You know, so and that's one of those where if the story doesn't call for it, don't give them the Rumble just because. You know what I mean? Asuka can win a million Rumbles. It doesn't matter. She doesn't need to win this one.
Right.
But it would say something if it came down to Rousey and Asuka at the end. You know,
you think Nikki Cross would be in there from Sanity?
I can see that. Nikki Cross is another one my daughter loves.
She's good.
I hate guys that if I'm basing this on I would like I want my daughter likes it's because typically you try to keep the ladies of your house happy. That's all.
Right.
But here's what sucks about Paige for me. Sam and I were there to see her Raw debut when she beat AJ for the title. It was awesome to be there for it. We talked about this earlier. We won't get into it now, but I'll admit, just the internet community, like the internet bubble of Twitter, and it's how everybody thinks they're like Paige's big brother, and it's like it's that turned me off of wrestling in podcasting last year too. Like that was just like, yeah, I'm done. It's because everybody thinks they knew what was best for Paige, and this poor girl was trying to figure herself out.
Right.
And then you have, everyone's not gonna. And so I feel there's such like tragedy with her career because she still had like a 12, 13 year career. If not saying that it's over, nobody really knows. But I don't know. And I think it's important also to really stress, unlike other shows. Listen, accidents happen.
Yeah.
We could easily sit here like we had to do it. Listen, and talk about how Charlotte Flair was such an unsafe worker, blah blah blah. I mean, theoretically, the same can be said about Sasha Banks, but it's not. It's a two-person dance. It's accidents happen. You know that going in. That was not Sasha Banks' fault. So I don't think Sasha Banks should have any heat on her. It's just unfortunate. It's an unfortunate situation because I think Paige would have been a good win. because she still could translate it over into Smack. I think SmackDown's winning the women's Rumble.
Yeah, me too.
Charlotte doesn't have a storyline right now,
Right.
And Asuka and Alexa are already. It's like I said, the story's already being told. So.
And honestly, I wouldn't mind if Nia won the Rumble match either. To be honest with you.
Yes. The Daley household is big Nia Jackson fans here in the Daley household.
She's awesome. Especially on Twitter, yes.
Yeah, I know. Like it's funny because like wrestling in this house is funny because like my daughter's a little mark. You know what I mean? Like marks, but like we all have like different like levels of markedness and like who we cheer for and stuff. So it's fun when you like kick it back that way. And that's why I stay off dirt sheets and don't read any of this shit anymore, man. Like wrestling's so much more fun when you're not surrounding yourself with a bunch of angry men.
Yeah, pal. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the Women's Rumble match. I was going to say this, that we talked about this earlier today. The only people that deserve heat are people justifying updating new clips of Paige's sex tape. For you to even justify that as credible news or journalism or reporting, you can kiss my ass as far as I'm concerned with that.
Well, like I said earlier, Josh, it's, right now we're living, and this was part of the reason why, and see, you and I talked about this. This is the part of the reason why I quit a lot of the outlets I was doing, is because in this climate we have too many people that are sheep. They can't see what's a joke, what isn't a joke, or they take words verbatim and they'll run with them, and that becomes their opinion because people can't form their own opinions. And the problem herein lies is. So the best way of saying this gently, so that like I don't really have a lot of people coming after me. I don't know how many people out there can form an original thought anymore.
Right.
And I feel like all they do is they run, and the reason why I say that is the whole Paige situation was only news because people wanted to talk about it. Don't give me that it's news. It's only news because you didn't have the backbone to say, I'm not talking about this. This is a personal matter between Paige, Sarah J. Bevis or whatever. It's a personal matter between her and between the other individuals involved, or even with the Del Rio stuff that was going on. Nobody had the backbone except for me and Sam to say, it is not our business. We are staying out of it, and we moved on. Because ultimately, here's what people will say. When they say, well, it's news, what they really mean by that is, well, our show's not good enough, so we got to get the clicks. We can't figure out anything better to talk about, and because we got to keep up with the Joneses, we got to get the clicks. We got to get the listens. They got to get our opinions. We got to give our hard takes. No, you don't. News is what you make of it. These are the same people that complain about CNN, Fox, or MSNBC. Take your pick. You complain about whatever media outlet you choose to disagree with because they're quote-unquote fake news. News is what you make it. If you don't talk about it, if you don't sensationalize it, people will quit hacking. People will quit doing these things because that's why they do it. They do it for the intention. They do it to ruin people's careers. And by talking about it, you're letting the hackers win. And we're not protecting these women and men that we claim to love and enjoy watching entertain us. So,
Paige, though, like we said earlier, I think for her and have the story of her coming back and winning the Rumble and having her lead this faction would be an awesome story for this revolution. And I saw some people kind of up in arms about Stephanie being in the announce table for this match. She's going to be doing commentary during the match. I mean,
no way.
Yeah, so I mean, for her to call the match while it's happening, this makes perfect sense. So, yeah.
You know what? I'm actually glad you mentioned that because I forgot to bring this up earlier. Other things I bounce off my daughter, and it's important. And I know I keep saying this, but listen, guys, the reason why I keep doing this, and Josh, you know this, it's because we only look through our own little telescope when we watch wrestling, and that's a very shallow way of doing it.
Right.
And I think here's the next evolution. I asked my daughter the other day, just out of the blue, I said, hey, sweetie, let me ask you a question. Do you think that they should have female referees for the women's matches? I mean, do you think, does it matter? My daughter, you have to understand, my daughter's the first one that she calls it like it is. Like when the internet was up in arms because Paige was talked about Charlotte's brother, my daughter was sitting here going, I don't see what the big deal is. This isn't real. This is a TV show. It's not like she, like my daughter's more of a sense of reason than the internet sometimes. And I just asked her a question. I said, do you think does it matter? Because my daughter will be the first one to say if it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. But she was like, no, I think they should have women referees. And why not have a woman announcer? I mean, that's not making it. You're not making it sexist by putting a female referee in a women's match. Maybe it's just about time. You know what I mean? Like, maybe.
Nothing wrong with it.
Maybe. I don't know.
I got a question for you. Does she have her own Rumble picks, at least for the women's match that you know of?
Well, yeah. I know who she wants to win. And me and her right now are, and we're speaking of my 8-year-old daughter, guys. Actually, my wife isn't really happy about this either. Sam's not happy with the idea of Rousey coming in and winning. I'm the only one that's actually like really gung ho about Ronda winning the Rumble. My daughter.
At least it's not Nikki Bella, but.
Yeah, Sam's in for a long night on Sunday, man. She's in for a rough one. I love you, sweetie. My daughter is very big on Asuka right now. She wants Asuka to win. And I think she sees that maybe she gets that she's probably already wrestling Alexa Bliss at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
But I think she still wants her to get the Rumble anyway because she's a big time Asuka fan. I don't want to say, hey sweetie, who do you want to win the Rumble, babe? If not Asuka, who else? She's a big Carmella fan too. But I think that's because she has a crush on her. No, Charlotte's a champion, sweetie. What about Carmella? Wouldn't that be awesome though if she was Money in the Bank champion and Royal Rumble champion? Which, to be honest, is actually pretty brilliant.
Right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Naomi.
Yeah, she's big in Naomi too. Yeah, she's big in Naomi. So.
All right, let's get into the dudes Rumble match. I'll call them dudes. Let the women be the women. Yeah. Testosterone. There's already too much of it on social media. What else is new? No, I don't know if there's testosterone where there's not a lot of real men out there. So.
No, not anymore.
Yeah.
Not anymore. It's getting even more vile.
Yeah. Fake news. Yeah, sure. All right. Men's Royal Rumble. The Dudes Rumble. The Dude Busters. that was a funny tag team. I had a surprise earlier of Batista. That was one that I was going for. Possibly Jericho, if you want to do something with him and Miz. I always see it with the dudes where they always like set up like their undercard matches from that Rumble match. Like I get it was a ladder match, but Sami Zayn cost Kevin Owens Rumble match.
Speaking of Derek, he still owes me 2 loonies because of that.
I gotta remind him that. Yes. So I have Batista, Jericho. I possibly a run-in from RVD since it is a Philly in there. I think you want to get some ECW guys in there. You're not seeing Sam, man. I'm just throwing it out there right now.
And that's why I hope you're right, Josh. And just to toss this in there because we did earlier, I hope RVD's on there because I'm a big RVD fan. My fear is that Sam told me that she read that he can't compete anymore in WWE. Something happened that it was either a neck injury or a head injury or something or other, and he just can't get cleared. I don't know if there's an exception for the Rumble though. I wouldn't think.
Is it the same thing with Christian?
It could be. I mean, it could be like a.
I'll tell you, man. I miss covering Christian's matches, man. That guy is awesome. Like, literally awesome. If you guys, I want to give a plug out because I think this is fair. Even though Wrestling With is on hiatus and it would be the only podcast that I would plug and promote, I am going to promote ENC Pod of Awesomeness because that is some funny ass shit. I love the chemistry that Edge and Christian have. Obviously, they've been best friends since like 6 years old, and they have good on-air chemistry like me and Adam have here as well. And the similarities between you and Edge, especially on air, it's really, it can be eerie sometimes, to be honest with you.
I keep hearing that with a lot of people. They keep telling me that either this person or that person that I allegedly look like, or I also allegedly act the same.
No, not look. I'm talking about this like talking style.
Oh no,
yeah.
I understand. You don't understand how many people have told me. When I played college baseball, my nickname was Edge because everybody told me that I looked like Edge. And then as I got older and I grew a beard, when Edge grows the crazy beard, it's like, oh look, it's you because it's crazy bearded Edge and you look like Edge. And it's like, man, come on, is this like 20 years later, this like hasn't escaped me? Right. I've been out of high school 20 years. I started playing college baseball 20 years ago. That's what makes you feel old, my friend. That makes you feel old. Oh,
yeah, that's bad.
Right there. Ew, you're not even getting up out of this chair tonight. Where's my hot cocoa and Matlock?
So we got Batista, Jericho, and RVD. Is John Cena announced for this Rumble match? I think he is, right?
I think he is, yeah.
Yeah, okay, so he's in there.
Elias,
right? We have Randy Orton, Nakamura, Baron Corbin's also in the match as well. Finn Balor, Miz, Bray Wyatt, Woken, Matt Hardy. Yes. Any chance X-Pac goes in?
I hope
He's a Philly guy, and he was at Raw this past Monday.
I hope so, because he still tossed out a nice little X Factor.
Yeah, that was nice.
Listen, man, like I hate that the first show didn't take because we talked about Waltman a little bit. It's so good to see Waltman like look not only healthy, happy, in the right place. Like I've always been a Waltman fan, and we talked about this. Like 1, 2, 3 Lightning Kid days from back when I used to watch 4-star wrestling and I was a little kid. So, and watching kind of like his whole career and the ups and downs, and like really empathizing with him with personal struggles and like all kinds of stuff. It was so refreshing the other night, like just seeing him so healthy. Like, and I know I keep saying that, but it's just really good to see. Not that Sean Waltman wouldn't even know who I was from Adam. Get it? Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. But it's good to see somebody that you followed their whole career for the most part, and unfortunately sometimes through some bad times. It's just happy to it makes you feel good. Comeback stories like that are good, so it'd be nice to see him.
I'm very excited for where this goes. The cool thing with the Rumble this year for both matches that there's not a definitive, this person's winning and that's it. You got to think about this as well. The Rumble Raw has the Elimination Chamber match, or pay-per-view, next month. It's in Vegas, so Raw's having Elimination Chamber pay-per-view this year. So yeah, Asuka could win for the women's match, and then a SmackDown person could win for the men, or vice versa, or wherever you want to play it. Who knows? Maybe somebody from the Triple Threat match would be in the Rumble match. Sometimes they'll have a Tom match, and some of those guys will be in there. Same thing. Who knows? Maybe Kevin Owens or Sami Zayn enter the match. You never know.
I could see Kane getting pinned and Strowman entering the Rumble afterwards going, I'm not finished with you. I didn't get pinned. I'm not finished with this pay-per-view.
Get these hands.
Get these hands until I get pinned.
That's the best line of. That's the best line right now. Get these hands. That's tremendous. Oh man, Braun's the man. But I think Roman will be in there. I don't think he's gonna win, but I think he'll be in a Rumble match. There's a lot of scenarios that could go over here because who knows? Maybe Samoa Joe makes a surprise. No, actually he's out though with the foot injury, but there is a possibility he will be at WrestleMania. So we can erase Samoa Joe from this scenario. I tossed out a possibility of having Roman against Seth at WrestleMania. I think that'd be cool. So we have a lot of options. I think Sheamus and Cesaro will probably go in. They did last year too. So there's 13 spots left for the men. Just for those keeping score at home. So 13 guys. And you have your surprises, and you also got 12 open for the women as well. So this could go many different ways, but ultimately I'll go with Nakamura to win the Rumble match. Not that because it makes sense or whatever. I just think he's gonna win. That's the one guy I'm going with for now. But honestly, whoever else wins, I could find a reason as to why they're winning and make a logical reason back in it. Like you mentioned earlier, Baron Corbin could be a possibility too, and I would understand that. Maybe it would not like it. Maybe it would piss people off, but hey, man, it's Rumble. What else is new? Yeah, we have a Rumble pay-per-view and we got to bitch about it.
Well, that's, then the good part about this is we get 2 Rumbles, and the good part about having 2 titles around too is that, the WWE Championship does feel more like the fans' championship, and Universal Championship feels more like the corporate championship, It just seems like they do more storytelling, with, and obviously it's because the title's around more. But no, listen, I can absolutely see Corbin winning it, and I think I would be okay with the move because I think it would really help Corbin's career, win or lose at WrestleMania. I think it would be another one of those. It would be interesting for him as a character to be able to say, between this WrestleMania and this WrestleMania, I have the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, I won Money in the Bank, I won the Royal Rumble, and now I'm at WrestleMania. Now, do I think that he's there yet to see? Because that won't be the main event match though either. So that's a null and void point anyway. That people like to toss around, and I don't think that's irrelevant. So, but I still do think that it's Nakamura. Listen, I'm a big Nakamura fan. Josh, that my reservation with Nakamura was that he wasn't going to catch on with the American fans, and that was always my fear. And it wasn't going to be Nakamura's fault. It was going to be the American fans' fault. I fear that we're at that spot where it's the right city so that he gets a huge pop if he wins the Rumble. And I would like to see him win the Rumble. But is that really going to translate when they go to Des Moines, Iowa? Is that really going to translate when they go to Topeka, Kansas? Is that really going to translate? You know what I mean? And I don't know. Right now, I don't think that's Nakamura's fault. I think maybe if I could criticize WWE for a second, I in a way think that they failed to give Nakamura an identity other than the guy that Jinder Mahal got over, basically. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like,
but this also
over by trash.
This also could be another example. Just because something works at NXT and New Japan doesn't mean it's going to translate into that next level. Like, I could get your point about the booking and trying to get the character out there in the right sense, but there's just a lot of people assume things, right? And you know what happens when you assume, you make an ass out of you and me. So either way, I think Nakamura has the future. He probably won't be with the company that long, but I'll join him for here as long as he's here. Honestly, from this seeing the world burn and seeing people pissed off, I wouldn't mind seeing Jinder winning.
Oh man, people would go ape shit. I'd love it. I mean, but people would go nuts. I'm trying to see, and I look at it this way too. I look at guys that I'm getting into, like Elias. I don't, in a way though, I think that the idea that like you and I talked about, I would almost like to see Elias wrestle Cena at WrestleMania versus winning the Rumble, or like, you know what I mean? Like, I almost think sometimes one of those marquee matches against a John Cena or against, whether people like it or not, a Triple H, and it's funny because in hindsight now, how you realize, like we talked about earlier, how much money was left on the table when Punk left, but just because of the Triple H match, when not realizing there was a much bigger picture, Now, granted, the fans paid dividends for fans. Otherwise, we wouldn't have got Daniel Bryan. We wouldn't have got all that other stuff. But
by the way, I don't think he's gonna be in the Rumble match.
Who, Daniel Bryan?
No.
I don't either. I don't.
Nor should he, to be honest with you.
I do think, and we talked about this earlier. If there is one Mania match I want to see, it's Shane versus Bryan, just to put finality on this and put closure. And so that the internet can stop, and so that we can all stop and just stop with this. Is he ever see? Even my dog wants this to end with us talking about Daniel Bryan wrestling. And I would rather him wrestle. I know this sounds crazy, but I would rather him wrestle under WWE, where they're going to be a little more aware of his injuries, or if there is still a nagging, versus where he could go somewhere else and there could be potential serious injury. I don't know. I mean, and I don't know. I don't know where But I don't know. I guess as I get older and as shit starts going wrong with me, you start to realize how, you start to realize how short life is, and especially as a father, I think that is for him and the fans, we all need closure. Mm-hmm. But I don't think that he needs to go somewhere else to do that. And I would rather him listen. If it's that they have to give him a match against Shane retires him, but that keeps Daniel Bryan with the company so that he can either be a trainer, a general manager, an announcer, whatever the hell they want him to be. Just give him the match. Just please, please.
Yeah, and he's not winning the Rumble to fight Brock Lesnar. So
no, and we don't want him to. We don't want. I don't see why we would want that. Just and listen, I'm gonna keep it 100 because we always kept it 100. And let's silence these critics too. I don't know if I would even want, like, for anyone saying, "Oh, CM Punk's coming back too." First, stop. He's not. Second of all, I don't really know if, and I think that he would probably echo this sentiment. I don't want to speak for the man, but I mean, I think that I've heard him speak. Do you think Punk even fits with today's WWE? In a way. I mean, I think Punk is talented enough to obviously, I mean, he's good enough and he's talented enough to, obviously, like, he'd be a success. But it's different. You know what I mean? Like, Punk is kind of one of those old school guys. The business changed a little bit,
Right.
And I do think Punk is still that old school guy versus what but he's not the only guy to say that. You hear guys like Shawn Michaels. You hear guys like, there's a lot of people that say it's just different now. I don't know if Punk even fits into the equation anymore.
The reason I think he could, because he's the nucleus behind what today's WWE is, in a way, where these guys aren't getting opportunities and stuff. And I think, in a way, he would be that guy to carry the fold, because I do think guys like John Cena and Randy Orton are leaving soon, and they're not going to be there every single week. Now, I'm not saying Punk's going to be doing full house show tours or this or that. Like, he'll be on TV and stuff. But think about it. Who knows how much longer we're going to get Jericho around. Like, I don't know how many more matches Triple H is going to be there. But I think for the fact that he was the nucleus behind today's WWE, I think he can carry that fold for John Cena, and he has respect for those guys. You guys don't think he has respect for them? Obviously, maybe things could have went different with different, like, commercial opportunities. But if you ask Punk, he would tell you that he has respect for Cena and what they did in that rivalry for each other as well.
Well, and you know what? Just to kind of chime in on Cena real quick too, because it's funny to me that. Oh no! Listen, I was there before too at one time where I was like a big John Cena hater. Again, when I was in my mid-20s, like, when everyone always has like the egos. But it's for all these people that claim Cena will never make it in Hollywood and Cena this, that, and the other thing. I hope everybody understands that he's seemingly in pretty good with Judd Apatow, and I'm not saying that Apatow is just going to hand people roles and hand people movies when they don't deserve it.
Right.
But when you earn it like John Cena does, and you got a guy like Judd Apatow behind you, you're kind of in pretty good in Hollywood right now. Mm-hmm. And Cena holds his own in every movie. That movie Blockers that's coming out looks really good.
Yes.
Unbelievable.
And good. I love me some Leslie Mann. Yes.
Oh, she's awesome. She's awesome. She's hysterical in she's tremendous. They place her in. And she's Judd Apatow's wife.
Yeah, she's awesome. I've seen her in just I think the first one I saw her was Big Daddy. And think about that. I was 6 when that came out. So sorry to make everybody feel old. So that's 2000? Yeah, I was 6. Yeah.
Real Jesus.
Who you have winning the men's Rumble match?
I mean, I guess I'm going Nakamura by default, only because I feel like Raw doesn't need it, because, in my opinion, and you know what opinions are worth, but King takes the fall, Braun doesn't get pinned. That obviously creates some sort of maybe number 1 contender match at the next pay-per-view, right? Elimination Chamber, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Number one contender for the Raw Championship.
That Chamber match will be a number 1 contender match.
Absolutely, yeah. And Braun Strowman's going to destroy everybody. There's going to be so many Strowman moments, it's not even going to be funny.
Oh yeah.
So to me, there's your story right there. So I think a SmackDown talent gets it, and that's the only reason why I'm leaning towards either Nakamura or Baron Corbin. And I won't listen. Don't be surprised if Baron Corbin wins. You know, it's not as unbelievable as people think.
I don't know where they're coming with the Ziggler angle, but that's weird with betting odds. I don't know how Ziggler fits in this scenario. I don't.
You can still bet on Paige.
You could.
But they specifically said she's not in the Rumble on TV. Like they made a point to say, you know, she's not competing in the Rumble.
Right.
And neck injury's keeping her out. That's all they said. And then you can still bet on her. Guys, if you take that bet, I got some ice cubes to sell you in the middle of summer.
So we hit the.
I'll put it in your hand.
We hit the gamut there today, and man, this felt like lost time, man. But we had a freaking blast. I hope you guys enjoy this when you get to listen to this. We had a lot of fun. We hit a lot of big topics. Hopefully you get some life lessons out of that first part of the show. That's why we hit so hard on that topic. And we just wanted to address the elephant in the room here and just let you guys know that all the stuff in the past is behind us, and family always comes before anything. I put this to the side if it means being there for Adam if he's down, and I know it will happen for me vice versa at the same time. So I love you, Punk. Thanks for
love you, brother.
Coming on again. Make sure to follow him at Twitter at AdamDaley13. Give shout to his wife, Sam, at Twitter at LadyNexus13 as well. AJ's going to be a future journalist one day, so you're going to see her become a big star.
She wants to be so bad. She's like diehard, like that's it. Like she wants the truth and wants like she's a little gumshoe, man. She's going to be too.
Shoot me straight.
Real quick, Josh, before you sign off, listen, I wanted to give a shout out to everyone that sent me messages, Sam messages, because I know our show's on hiatus, and to be honest, I don't know if we're gonna even do it anymore. But we had a couple of people reach out and say, hey, why don't you go back and do video again? Listen, I can't say enough how awesome and how humbling it is that that people, there's still you guys out there. Because notice that Sam and I have never ever said anything like, hey, we've never called anybody our fans. And it's cool to have people that still are saying, hey, why don't you come back to video, that, this kind of that. It's just Sam and I kind of both agreed that, I hate to keep saying it, 168 hours though, guys. We're not fitting into Vince McMahon's world. Vince McMahon fits into my world. And if you're letting entertainment run your life and run your narrative, then it's not a good look.
Yeah.
So the reason why I say that is that Sam and I both we're over the video aspect of things. Although it's very flattering, it's very humbling, and listen, we thank you, and it's crazy to think that anybody would still want us to do video. When really, it's just I get it. You guys want Sam to do video, and I don't blame you. But I don't want to necessarily speak for her. Hey, reach out to her. But I know at least from my end, I think video wise, I'm good. But even podcasting wise, I don't know if we're gonna continue doing our show. Listen, life's just crazy, and there's more important things to do right now. If we do, it's going to be something different, unique, something that something a little different than what's out there. It's not going to be the ad nauseum kind of scenario, but we'll see what happens with that. I just know that I think we're both very, very content having an unplugged microphone because I kind of do this somewhat for a living now too on the side, and that's part of what my job contains. So it's nice not having a microphone in my face sometimes, but at the same time, I love jumping on with stuff like this. Like, guys I kept in touch with over the years, like you, to Wook, Eric, who am I forgetting? Nick. I got to get a hold of Derek too. But shout out to all you guys. And but as far as Sam and I go, I think maybe eventually we're gonna do a show-ish. Maybe. I don't know. I don't know, honestly. Towards the end when we were on Mind of Carnage, we were kind of I don't want to say we were phoning it in, but we just kind of were. We appreciated Cade. That's why we were really we kept going for Cade because he's just a hell of a fucking human being, and we just thanked him, and And I wanted to keep Sam's voice out there because it's important to have intelligent, strong female voices in this climate filled with egotistical men that are just regurgitating the same things. It's like a giant circle jerk. So But at the same time, I don't want, I feel like I would be doing our audience an injustice if the only reason for us to do a show is, listen, it's a good reason, but if our only reason behind it is a spite reason so that Sam can, go off and vent, I don't know if Sam or myself wants that, because again, is it really doing anything good for the business, So Sam and I are going to figure something out, like once, things settle down a little bit. We're enjoying having this time off, and, we'll take it from there. But we do, listen, we thank you guys that have reached out, guys and gals that have reached out. That does mean the world to us and stuff, Like I said, like we always say, Josh, it's not necessarily like I love communicating on Twitter. I just don't like that whenever I, put a joke out, I have to get instantly, everybody thinks that joke is about them.
Right.
Stop, people. Relax. If, I lived life that way, I'd be on Twitter all day long, defending my Oakland Raiders, defending this, defending that. Everyone is so defensive. If I tell a joke and something in it is just, you happen to like that, and I'm making a joke about that, oh, fucking well. You rush a stand-up comedian stage and go, hey, don't joke about that. You're in Pittsburgh. No shit. That's why I'm telling the fucking joke. You know what I mean? It's just a joke. People are and if you can't laugh at yourself, if you can't laugh at yourself, then that's another one that you need to maybe take a break from social media too, because you got to start to be able to laugh at yourself. I cut up on myself worse than that's also what's somewhat bringing it full circle, brother. All the things that I don't know, whatever was said and what wasn't said or whatever. Ain't a motherfucker alive that's going to say anything worse than what I say about myself in my own head. Live for 3 hours in this motherfucker, and you'll be begging for a WWE Logic pay-per-view. Trust. Never lost.
Believe that. And we spit hot fire.
Yes. Never lost.
Never lost. All right, guys. Thank you guys so much for checking out episode 90. I think after this Monday, some people need to look in the mirror and realize that WWE wrestling may not be for them anymore. And that'll be another case in point this weekend as well. You can follow...
I heard people online this weekend.
Yep. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and Notorious Josh. You like the Facebook page, facebook.com/JLWPodcast. Very humbled that this particular show got nominated for Wrestling Radio Awards Show of the Year. I was previously nominated a couple years ago when I was doing the Pro Wrestling Experience. So the fact that 2 different shows of mine got nominated in this category is pretty humbling. So
the reason why you didn't get nominated in 2016 is because I was there. Got nominated in 2015 and 2017. Bang. Yeah, see?
Nah, I'm not gonna go there. But if you want to support me, you could vote at WrestlingRadioAwards.com. If not, it's cool. I'm not gonna lose sleep over it. Make sure to leave a review, a constructive review of the podcast on Apple Podcasts and YouTube. You find all editions of the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast there, and I'm going to be busy this weekend covering both TakeOver, Raw, SmackDown, all the hours of wrestling, and, of course, the Rumble. ProWrestlingTranscriptions.com. That's my website, so go give that a look as well. And that's pretty much it. I'll keep you guys updated as far as if me and Adam will do another show together. It's cool to have a nice family reunion like it was on Monday as well. So we had our family reunion here, and hopefully we'll do it again. I'd like to send this message before we head out. Remember, you are the director of your life story. Nobody else. Never let anybody impugn your integrity or your character. With that, enjoy the Rumble. You probably won't, but you'll watch Raw the next Monday night. With that said, for me and Punkster, this has been the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast. Peace, motherfuckers.
Raw's 25th anniversary, an amazing night. I can't think of any better way to kick off the show than with Stone Cold Steve Austin. Now, talk to me what it was like to get one more stunner and beer bath on Vince McMahon.
Well, Vince McMahon went out there and tried to claim that he didn't need anybody's help. Hell, he rode Stone Cold's ass the whole Attitude Era. I was a big part of what happened here, and he knows that, and that's the bottom line. For him to go out there and accept some plaque from Shane and Stephanie was complete BS. Stone Cold went out there, crashed his little party, rang it up with a couple of stunners, and that's the bottom line. It feels good to be here. Hell, I've been out in Los Angeles messing around for a couple of years. So when they gave me the call, hey, Steve, we're going to celebrate Raw 25 in New York at the Barclays Center in Berkeley. I said, yeah, I'm going to be there. So I showed up, I raised hell, gave Vince a couple of stunners, and it was a damn good time being here and talking with all the WWE superstars, the guys and girls that have fallen down the path that I set, from the guys that blazed the path before me. It just continues on. It feels like a big-ass family reunion here. I'm proud and happy to be a part of it and to go out there and open up a can of whoop-ass for this city to watch.
Thank you very much for your time, Stone Cold.
That's all you got to say to me is ask me one question. I give you one answer, and then you're going to shake my hand. You flew me all the way out here. Now you're going to bring me backstage and treat me like a jabroni.
Well, I mean...
Did you not do any more prep than that? You got one question. Okay, what's your name?
Mike.
Okay, Mike, you're going to ask Stone Cold a couple of questions, and you just did one question. Do you know who you're talking to? My name is Stone Cold Steve Austin. I actually drew money. I actually was the World Heavyweight Champion. I won 3 Royal Rumbles. And you bring me all the way out here to the East Coast, to Brooklyn. You got one sorry-ass question for me. You're a chump. You need to go back to your house, do your homework, because next time when Stone Cold Steve Austin shows up, I want a proper interview, proper camera time, proper mic time, hell, proper interview personnel. You got no business interviewing something like me, son. You're way out of your league. Go back and do your homework. I'm sure everybody back home is proud of you, but you're just a piece of trash in my eyes. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Thank you. It's been wonderful talking to you. That's BS. I hated talking to the sorry SOB. And that's the bottom line because I said so. I'll catch your ass down the road. Mike.